Welcome back to Global Currency Watch. If calm, intelligent analysis is what you come here for instead of hype, fake countdowns, and emotional roller coasters, take 1 second to hit like and subscribe. Because right now, something important is happening inside Iraq. Not loudly, not dramatically, quietly. And strangely enough, those are the exact words Iraq's own central bank governor used this week. Working quietly. Now maybe that sounds small, but if you've been following this investment for years, you already know those 2 words carry weight. Because the biggest developments in monetary reform rarely happen with fireworks. They happen behind the scenes, inside institutions, inside banking systems, inside digital infrastructure. And tonight, we're going to connect the dots. Because what happened this week involving Iraq's banking system, oil exports, digital tax automation, cryptocurrency restrictions, and political negotiations all point in the same direction. Structural transformation, not hype, not rumors, real institutional change. And by the end of this video, you'll understand why the quiet work may actually be the most important work of all. Central Bank Message. This week, Central Bank Governor Ali Mohsen Alak appeared at the Shin Dialogue Forum. This wasn't some random interview. This was a formal economic forum involving policymakers, economists, and financial decision-makers discussing Iraq's future economy. And during that event, Alak described the central bank's strategy using 2 very important words: working quietly. Now I want you to think about that carefully, because for years, people have expected Iraq's financial reform process to happen loudly. Big announcements, massive headlines, instant dramatic changes. But real institutional reform rarely works that way, especially in banking, especially in currency modernization. Instead, systems are built slowly, quietly, carefully, and that's exactly what Alak explained. He talked about preserving Iraq's monetary reserves, managing foreign currency flows, protecting salary stability, reducing pressure on the parallel market, strengthening official banking channels, and controlling irregular dollar movement. That is not the language of chaos. That is the language of controlled financial restructuring. Iraq's biggest economic problem. Now let's talk about Iraq's biggest long-term problem: oil dependence. For decades, Iraq has operated as what economists call a rentier economy, meaning the country depends heavily on extracting and selling oil. And when oil prices fall, the entire economy shakes. Government salaries, budget stability, currency confidence. Everything becomes vulnerable. That's why the theme of this week's economic forum mattered so much. The forum focused on moving Iraq away from pure oil dependency and toward diversified economic production, agriculture, tourism, natural gas, trade corridors, non-oil revenues. Because no country can build long-term currency strength while depending on one single revenue source. Diversification creates resilience, and resilience creates confidence, and confidence supports currency stability. Dollar shipment drama. Now let's address the story that created panic this week. Reports surfaced claiming the United States temporarily blocked a major dollar shipment to Iraq. Immediately, fear exploded online. But here's what actually matters. The system absorbed the disruption. Within days, new shipments resumed, and Governor Alak directly addressed the situation. He explained that Iraq's foreign transfer system is still functioning. Dollar sales continue. Official channels remain active. And most importantly, Iraq is becoming less dependent on physical cash shipments overall. Years ago, Iraq reportedly imported around $14 billion annually in physical cash. Today, that number has reportedly fallen to around $4 billion. That's a massive shift. Why? Because Iraq is transitioning toward digital, traceable financial systems instead of physical cash dependency. And that's exactly what modern banking systems are supposed to do. Less paper, more digital infrastructure, more transparency, more control. And this is where things start getting very interesting, because while most people focus only on exchange rates, the real transformation is happening underneath the surface, quietly, digitally, institutionally. Iraq is systematically modernizing its financial infrastructure, not just the banks, the entire system, tax systems, court systems, payment systems, cross-border transfers, everything. This week alone, multiple Iraqi institutions announced major digital transformation projects. And together, they tell a much bigger story, a country preparing for a modern financial future. Kurdistan crypto crackdown. One of the biggest developments came from the Kurdistan regional government. Officials announced a crackdown on unlicensed forex trading and unauthorized cryptocurrency transactions. Now, at first glance, some people interpreted this as anti-crypto policy. But that's not really what's happening. This is about control, traceability, compliance. The government is trying to eliminate unofficial financial channels operating outside the regulated banking framework. That includes black market currency movement, unlicensed exchanges, irregular dollar flows, and anonymous digital transactions. Why? Because modern financial systems require visibility. Governments cannot stabilize a currency, while large amounts of money move invisibly outside the system. So what Iraq is doing right now is pushing economic activity into formal regulated channels. That's exactly what financial modernization looks like. At the same time, Iraq's Ministry of Justice launched a major electronic automation system for court execution departments. Now that might sound boring, but it's actually extremely important, because digitizing legal systems reduces corruption. It reduces bureaucracy, it reduces fraud, and it creates transparency. Every legal transaction becomes traceable, documented, visible. This matters enormously to international investors and financial institutions, because global banking systems trust transparency, not paper chaos. And Iraq is steadily moving toward electronic governance across multiple institutions simultaneously. The Ministry of Finance also announced something very significant this week: a nationwide real-time digital tax networking system, meaning tax authorities across Iraq are now being electronically connected into one centralized infrastructure. Real-time visibility, real-time monitoring, real-time reporting. That's massive. Because modern economies require accurate data, governments need visibility into revenue collection, financial movement, business activity, and tax enforcement. This isn't exciting headline material, but it's exactly the kind of infrastructure serious economies require. Quietly, Iraq is building the plumbing of a modern state. New oil export routes. Another major development happened at Iraq's border with Syria. For the first time, Iraq launched crude oil exports through the Rabia border crossing. 70 tankers reportedly crossed into Syria. Now, why does this matter? Because Iraq is trying to diversify its export routes. For years, the country depended heavily on southern Gulf shipping lanes. But geopolitical tensions create vulnerabilities, so Iraq is building alternatives. New corridors, new logistics routes, new infrastructure. And stronger export flexibility means stronger long-term revenue stability. Again, this is not random. It's structural preparation. Tien. Now let's talk politics. Because political stability still matters enormously. Prime Minister-designate Ali al-Azawi has reportedly been given 100 days to form a cabinet and demonstrate progress. And this week, multiple Iraqi political leaders called for accelerating cabinet formation. That word matters. Accelerate. Because Iraq understands something critical right now. Financial reform requires political stability. The banking system cannot fully modernize while the political system remains fragmented. And what's interesting is that despite political negotiations continuing, the institutional reforms keep moving forward anyway. The central bank keeps working. The Ministry of Finance keeps digitizing. The modernization process continues quietly underneath the political noise. That's important. Very important. 11. Now step back for a moment and look at the pattern. Digital banking expansion, tax automation, court digitization, oil route diversification, currency control tightening, political restructuring. These are not isolated events. They are connected. Together, they represent the foundational work required before a country can fully integrate into a modern international financial system. This is the infrastructure phase. And infrastructure phases are never exciting in real time, but they matter enormously later. 12. Now, I want to say something directly to those of you who've been here for years. I know this journey has been exhausting. I know some of you are tired. Tired of fake dates, tired of rumors, tired of emotional whiplash. And honestly, that frustration is understandable. But what's happening right now inside Iraq is different from hype cycles. Because institutions are changing, systems are changing, infrastructure is changing, and those things cannot be faked easily. Real reform leaves fingerprints, and we are seeing those fingerprints everywhere right now. Not loudly, quietly, exactly like Alex said. The quiet work is the real work, and patience inside long-term structural investments is not weakness. It's discipline. Stay calm, stay grounded, stay focused on the infrastructure instead of the noise, because preparation beats speculation every single time. This is Global Currency Watch. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you in the next one.